Hello guys, Ashley here, also with HLE Stand back later in the video, and today I was talking about One Tree Hill. Like I said, I wanted to do more One Tree Hill rants. Like I said, they weren't technically done. Like I said last time, my phone is filled with so many rants that I need to do. Like I said, life is very busy. I'm about to start work on Monday, so things might take a little bit of a setback. That means all teen drama rants might be coming a lot more slow than expected. So I would just say, just try to be patient with me because my only off days will be the weekends, which to me is not enough to unwind and dine, but it is life. You gotta work, but shouldn't be your whole life. So that should say whenever I have off days during the weekend, if I'm not going out and enjoying this beautiful weather. The only reason why I'm not going out is because I don't have no money to go nowhere. But when I do start making some money, I'm going to be out a lot more usual, doing stuff with my family, doing stuff with my friends, going out to eat, whatever that is, going to the zoo, which is something I really want to do. Those reviews might come later than sooner. But today, I wanted to make a rant about Lucas and Brooke. Here I am again, talking about this relationship. It's two things I want to talk about with them. The first thing I want to talk about is people saying that it was always Brooke. It was never about Peyton. It was never Peyton. It was always Brooke. I was seeing that a lot on TikTok, and this is something that I want to address because I really feel like that is such a delusional take to have from the show. I could understand why people would think that way because of their relationship situation, but from a logical standpoint, y'all have to understand it was never about Brooke, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. And the second thing I want to talk about is a lot of people are saying that they should have gotten back together in season 5 to make things more interesting. Instead of Lucas being with Lindsay, they should have just had him go back to Brooke. I think fans wanted it to be a Dawson's Creek situation, because I never watched Dawson's Creek. I didn't finish it. I only watched the first 2 seasons. But I know from my knowledge that Dawson and Joey did I know that Dawson and Joey did get back together. In Dawson's Creek. I know they had a brief relationship where her and Pacey were broken up. So the first thing I'm going to address is the get back. Should have Brooke gotten back together in season 5? No. And I'll tell you why. That relationship just seemed so far from where they were in their life. I think it was just time for a different chapter for her and Lucas. It was just time for something different. I just think it was just time for them to move on away from that. I think Chad and Sophie had really great chemistry. There's no denying that. Really great chemistry. It's great that they kept it professional on set. I'm not going to dive too much into that because that is something that I want to get into when I talk about It Was Always Brooke, because people seem to be way too deep into their relationship in real life. But it's like, you weren't there. You can't just say, oh, he messed things up because of Sophie's point of view. Sophie doesn't even like talking about the relationship, but yet she seems so bitter sometimes on the podcast. I don't know. Like I said, the relationship isn't my business, but to me, that happened in 2005. That's like what? It's been 2005? If my brother is 20, then that means that my brother was born in 04, so in 05, it's been 19 years on some extent. If my math was wrong, okay, my math was wrong. But my brother just turned 20, so that means it's been 19 years since her and Chad have broken up. It's time for her to get over that. I didn't like the idea of the get back. Me, honestly, I wouldn't have written Lindsay at all in a 5-year jump. The Lindsay relationship took up way too much time. It also just made it seem like Lucas didn't learn from his past mistakes by, cheating and everything like that, which I never cared for him and Lindsay. I always known that him and Peyton would be a thing. I was always Team Lincoln. It doesn't make the cheating okay, but it's just it's kind of hard to care about Lindsay when it's like the inevitable was going to happen anyway between him and Peyton. But me personally, I'm not a fan of the get back. I just felt like that would have been a waste of time. And what would that have been? People would have still been mad. If it wasn't going to be Lindsay, it was going to be Brooke. It would have been anybody Lucas would have been with. If it wasn't going to be Lindsay, it would have been Brooke. Brooke would have been stuck in the same situation that she was in all those years ago, when her being like the footnote in the second choice pretty much, and what him and Peyton had going on. I love that they established that it was a friendship and only a friendship. I don't know what. I understand some people feel like they were like playing house a little bit, everything like that. I think Lucas was trying to just, he's just being a great friend, and I feel like that is so overlooked a lot about Lucas, that just because he makes really bad mistakes and bad decisions, people overlook how he really is a good guy. Like, you can be a good person and make bad decisions. You can have great morals and great integrity. Just because you have great morals and great integrity doesn't mean you're not gonna mess up all this. Doesn't mean you're not gonna mess up. And you shouldn't be criticized for messing up because people have such a higher standard for you. And I just feel like that's delusional talk. Just because people expect so much more out of you doesn't mean you're not gonna make mistakes. And I feel like people hold out against him a lot, that he's made a lot of mistakes, and I get it. Cheating 3 times is just like, you should learn from the second time. I totally understand. But him and Brooke, like I said, as for the get back, that this is going to be short and sweet, I don't think him and Brooke should have got back together. I was over that. I didn't want that. And I think it would have been a complete waste of time. As much as Chad and Sophie have great chemistry, I didn't want to see it. I like the fact that Lucas was there for her as a friend and as a shoulder to cry on with the stuff that she was going through with Angie, that he was there for her, for the hospitals, for the heart surgery, everything. He was really there for Brooke, and I loved it. And you know what? The one good thing Sophie said in the entire podcast when she's not on her feminist bullshit, yes, I said it, feminist bullshit out loud, come for me, is she actually, for once, she actually praised something instead of always being negative. She said that she loved the stuff with her and Chad in season 5. She said that it was different and it was fun and it was such a great way to establish that they can still be friends after all the high school stuff. And I love that too. I love the fact that it was no bitterness. I love the fact that there's no denying that the stuff with Lucas did mess up Brooke emotionally even more, but if you think about it, all that emotional stuff was already there way before she met Lucas. Hello, her parents emotionally damaged her. But Lucas cheating twice with her best friend made it no better. There's no doubt about that, but I just don't like the idea of her getting back together, her and Lucas getting together. I've never been a Brooke shipper. Never has been. For the 22 years I have watched this show, I've never felt like, oh my god, they need to be in game. Oh my god, they need to be in game. I understand why people feel like that story has so much, why if things were different, it would have been, I could understand why people thought it would have been interesting because Lucas messed up in high school, so how interesting would it have been 5 years later if they would have gotten together and they're older, mature now, more wise that they're adults. How interesting would it have been for them to try again as adults. I get it, but we're over that. If they wanted to do that, they should have not wasted 3 seasons of them getting together. Literally, we got Lucas and Peyton, we got Lucas and Brooke for 3 straight seasons. Season 1, 2, and 3. Even though they weren't together in season 2, they still put a lot of focus on that relationship dynamic in season 2. And in season 3, they got together, and it was still a tug of war in season 3, which I loved, but it dragged. Like, I was just like, at this point, it's like they either need to get together or they need to find somebody new at this point, because I'm getting tired of Brooke playing these tug and pull games with Lucas, and I'm tired of Lucas chasing after her, just looking real stupid half the time when she's not going above and beyond for him. Like, it was getting kind of tiring. For me, I've never just been like a diehard Brooke shipper. I've always appreciated the relationship and what it was for. I've always appreciated the chemistry. I've always appreciated the cute moments that her and Lucas had. But I've never been a diehard Brooke and shipper, I never once felt like that should have been in game. And I feel like the only reason why people feel like that now is because of the podcast. Is that a lot of people think that Peyton and Jake should have been in game, which me personally, I don't think that's the in game shift. In game shift either. There's nothing healthy about Peyton dropping everything to. Yeah, there's nothing healthy about it. I'm just gonna straight up say it. Her and Jake were cute. They had great chemistry. Her and the actor who played Jake, they had great chemistry. But there's nothing happy about Peyton dropping everything to help this boy who's a high school dropout, who has a kid, who isn't emotionally stable or stable anywhere. There's nothing healthy about that. Peyton is 16 going on 17. She has so much more in life to worry about. She shouldn't be worried about Jake and where he gonna stay and how he gonna be financially stable. Like, I can't explain it. There's nothing wrong with her having Jake's back and wanting him and Jenny to be safe. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like what a lot of people seem to overlook a little bit about that storyline is how, not unhealthy in a way where it was toxic, but unhealthy in a certain way where it was like, she was worried so much about Jake that she didn't even take an acknowledgement that she was only 17 and like she had all that stuff that Jake had going on. She kind of carried it on her shoulders when on some extent she really shouldn't have to. But she was his girlfriend. Like I said, I really can't explain it in a way that it's like, if people want to say like, what are you trying to say? I'm trying to have it make sense. What I'm first trying to say is, like I said, and I already made a video about this, about her and Jake not being in game, is that Jake had a lot going on. Jake was a 17-year-old dropout. He's far away from home. He's traveling from place to place to get away from his crazy baby mama Nikki. And like, he's not stable. He's not stable. Like, that's what I mean in the sense of it's not healthy for Peyton. That her relationship with Jake is already unstable because of everything he got going on. Like, how many times he gonna keep leaving because of Nikki? How many times him and Jenny gonna keep having to hide because Nikki is on their ass? That's not healthy for Peyton. Say what you want to say about Lucas, but to me, that her and Lucas was just the inevitable choice. I have always just been a diehard relationshipper. I've just always been in tune with that love story. And that love, them and Peyton, people don't understand. I was talking about it felt forced. Dude, if it felt forced, him and Peyton would have been together from the jump. They waited 4 seasons to put him and Peyton together. While Lucas was wasting his time with Brooke, while he wasting his time with Anna and all these other bitches, while Peyton wasting her time with guys like Jake and Nathan and all these other guys. They couldn't see that they were meant for each other from the get-go. Like, come on. And physical healthiness is what I mean, that Jake just wasn't in a stable position to be anywhere. Him moving Jenny from place to place is not stable for any kid to move like that. And I just feel like if her and Jake would have got together, it just would have never been stable. Like, when she would go see Jake in season 3, like I said, that always just felt like an scapegoat. She hasn't talked about Jake really the whole season. Now all of a sudden she misses him and want to go see him. Peyton was looking for another excuse to not want to be with Lucas, and she was trying to use Jake for it. Jake is already over. So what's she gonna do? She gonna move all her shit on Tree Hill and go be with Jake in Seattle? Is that what she gonna do? That's unstable. That's not healthy. She shouldn't have to drop everything for him because he's not safe in Tree Hill because of Nikki. That's not good, in my opinion. So, I know I went on some little side rants, but like I said, I feel like a lot of people wanted it to be Brooklyn, and Brooklyn needs to be in game, and Jake and Peyton need to be in game. And to me, I just feel like I'm not okay with either one, because those seem like scapegoat relationships. And I honestly, to tell the truth, if those relationships would have been in game, I probably wouldn't have watched. And I probably would continue watching because I was going to say, what, because you didn't get your way? Because you're telling me this whole time Lucas and Peyton have these undeniable feelings for each other, and you're just going to just botch all of that because you want to try to give fans what they want, even though they had it. You had Lucas and Brooke for 3 straight seasons. You had Jake and Peyton for, in my opinion, for 2.5 seasons. They had their thing in season 1, and then they had their thing in season 2. How much more do you need to see? It's done. It's over. Especially with Brooke and Lucas. That was over with. I was over that by season 3. Over it. Completely over it. Done and over it. I'm sorry, my mom texted me. But I'm gonna try to make this other part of this rant very short because I gotta go somewhere. My mom needs my help with something. Y'all, I gotta go see my mom. So as for the whole, it was always Brooke and it was never about Peyton. I truly think you have to be truly delusional to honestly believe that. Who did Lucas want in season 1? Who did Lucas have a thing for season 1? Peyton. He only went out with Brooke because Brooke wanted him, and Peyton didn't. That's the real. Brooke was more of a plot device season 1 than a character. In season 2, I really hated how they just sidelined Lucas and Peyton. I really hated it. But I'm gonna tell y'all what made us. I'm gonna tell y'all what the scene where Brooke found all those little sketches and paintings. That proved to me that he is still not over Peyton. Because if you're supposed to be over it, why you still have this shit? And the reason that they wrote for him was like really stupid. Like he said he had it there so he won't make the same mistake again. What? That makes no sense. He had letters that he wrote to Peyton about how he felt that he never sinned. You know, the letter that Brooke made a big deal about in season 3, how she got so insecure about that. One little letter made her so insecure about the relationship. She shouldn't have even been slipping through his closet anyway, in my opinion. But like, I don't blame her for questioning it at all in season 2 because it's like, if you have a thing for me, then what's this shit doing here? Honestly, Brooke should have been smarter. In season 3, Lucas spends a lot. Lucas is still emotionally attached to Peyton in a way that he's never been to Brooke. In season 3, and yes, in season 2 he wanted Brooke, but I always feel like Brooke to him was. I think to him, Brooke, he just always thought that they could have been something. They could have been something special. It could have worked, but it never did. And in season 3, he still was most attached to Peyton. Who did he save at the school? Who did he help see her mother? Who did Lucas help push her to the relationship with her mom? Peyton. Lucas was always showing up for Peyton, and I feel like he was always showing up for her. It was always about Peyton to me. It was always about his undying loyalty to her in a way that I thought was just beautiful. How he was like her Superman in a way. I know people hated that she was a damsel in distress and everything like that. And I get it. Some people don't like that because we live in a feminist world where it's all about female empowerment. Which is like, I don't have nothing against a girl being damsel in distress. I get it. She shouldn't have to be saved all the time. But it's like, it's not like Peyton makes her own messes. Like, I don't know what y'all say. Like, people saying the whole Derek thing, oh, this guy stalked her. She didn't lure him to do anything. She didn't trick him to do anything. Watch what you say, because that's big complaining. Lucas and her brother came there because they knew that if that wasn't him, then Peyton has to be in danger. So, like, come on now. To me, it was always Peyton. It was never Brooke. Brooke was a fantasy in his head that he thought that they could have been something. It could have worked. To me, he went after Brooke because Brooke was the easier choice. Because Lucas was very indecisive and he had a hard time following his heart. And to me, I feel like he thought Brooke was just the easier option over Peyton because he was so in denial about what they had. Like I said, this there was no denying. The moment that I knew there was no denying is the school shooting episode with him and Peyton. That scene with them, chef's kiss. And I thought I would say this, but fuck Hillary for saying that scene doesn't hold up anymore. And all that. She said there's nothing romantic about her leg bleeding out and her confessing her feelings to Lucas. You know, her trying to downplay the moment. But to me, Peyton admitting what we all knew about her loving Lucas, there was no denying anymore. There was no denying about how she felt or how Lucas felt. Like I told that girl in season 4. She told this is right when she told me that she loved me. And I knew it. I knew I loved her back. But me being indecisive like I am and not being able to make a decision, I denied it. It was always about Peyton. It was never about Brooke. Brooke was just an easier choice for him because he's indecisive. Come on. It's easier to have that acknowledgement when Brooke's been hurt, but it was never about Brooke. So that's established here that it was always about Peyton and that him and Brooke did not need to get back together in season 5. So to me, it was always about Peyton. I thought you had to be clearly delusional to not see that, and I just felt like it is what it is. Him and Peyton end up together, and it's just like, get over it. Because him and Brooke were together for 3 straight seasons. Honestly, when it was up to me, him and Brooke should have got back together in season 2, and then season 3, let's focus on him and Peyton. Honestly, if I was writing it, because him and Brooke getting three straight seasons on their relationship, it dragged. It really dragged. And it was just like, we all know they're not going to end up together, so it was just like, why drag this out? Hey, someone had to say it. Somebody has to say it. So, that has been all. Thanks for listening, and I will see you guys next time.